if our illustrious guest to the left... Oh, no, it's the speaker who picks. Could you pick a ticket anonymously without prejudice and read the last 3 digits, please? Oh, that's a dollar bill, not a ticket. No.
I'll take that.
Yeah, no, right over there. There we go. Last 3 digits.
957.
957. Oh, yes. What would you like to do with this magnificent set of proceeds, Mr. El Presidente of Architects Hawaii? Donate it to the Scholarship Fund. Thank you very much. Oh, okay, I see we're chomping at the bit. Just can't hold himself together any longer. Is Mr. Jeffrey to give us an update on our status with Waikiki?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I think a lot of us don't realize that EAH is one of the members of the Hawaii Council of Engineering Societies. Now, this council is made up of 20 organizations. All the engineering societies are members, but we have the privilege at EAH of being the only one that has the name architecture in the title. And I didn't know about it. Aaron told me that as past president that I have to pick the speaker for their annual banquet in February, and so I managed to do that, and it's on February the 23rd, and the speaker that I chose was Al Yi, who's probably one of the most prominent structural engineers in the world, I think. He lives mostly in Singapore, and he just designed the high-rise building in Singapore. But he is coming back to be the speaker at this banquet. Now, the banquet's going to be on the 23rd. I've got the Willie Icky here that's got all the information on it, and I think it would be nice if we maybe had a table at that banquet, because we are members and we should really show up. So what I would ask Sam to do maybe is to, I've got the registration form here, and maybe if Sam could put it in next week's bulletin, then we would have the information. It's not till the 23rd, so we've got time. But I think it would be awfully nice to have members, because we've been sort of a sleeping member, I think, for 2 years, and I think we owe 2 years dues as well. So we need to. So right now we're right on the fringe. So let's have a good show and try and do that. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
And the speaker that Mr. Jeffrey is referencing spoke to us a few months ago about a Singapore project. It goes up just about to the cloud level. It's in typhoon country, it's in hurricane country, and the footprint is this teeny little ellipse on what looks like rather shaky ground. And you see, how in the world can this narrow thing go way up there and stand all the forces of nature? Well, he did it really exceptional. He will give that same, yeah. Well, you missed a fascinating review. Now, I believe that's, we do not have a jokester for the day unless we have a jokester. Oh, we do have a jokester. Do we have an alternative jokester? Okay, you've got stiff competition here, sir.
Well, I'll try to do it justice does, which is to tell a joke with a silver thread in it, morality that we can be guided by. And in this case, it's how to be polite when maybe inside you're angry and might be tempted to say something else. And it's a story of a fellow that likes to play golf in the morning, maybe Wednesdays or something like that. He likes to play by himself, but one Wednesday, the fellow came up to him and said, "Is it okay if I play with you?" Well, he didn't really want to play with him, but he was polite and said, "Okay." So they played a couple of holes, and the other fellow said, "You know, we look pretty even here. Why don't we bet $5 a hole?" And the fellow, he didn't want to do that. He doesn't like to do that, but to be polite, he did. So from then on, this guy won every hole. And at the end, I don't know if that's $80 or $60. Anyway, he won all the money. He won this money. The other fellow gave it to him. And he said, well, I got to be fair or truthful. I'm a pro, and I play at the other course here in the area. And he says, oh, and what do you do? And he says, oh, I'm the parish priest here. So the pro gets excited and says, oh, here, take this money back. And he says, no, you won it. I shouldn't have bet. And so the guy says, well, what can I do? And he said, well, you can come to services next Sunday. After the services, if you bring your mother and father, I'll marry them.
Well, that was a punchline worth waiting for. And I believe we have another high point of the day, namely an auspicious announcement.
I'm Bill Warren. We got a letter from the Hawaii Academy of Sciences and regarding the Science and Engineering Fair coming up. It's the the second week in April, starting on the 7th and 8th. And anyway, we're planning to just do what we've been doing for years and same prizes. And let's the president and the board decide something else, or the membership. Anyway, that's the plan.
Okay, thank you. That's one of our more auspicious events for the year. Regarding lineup of speakers, I believe everybody is lined up, mostly thanks to Ms. Sam here, all the way through August. Ryan Roteschauer is scheduled for the August program chair, but I'm a personal friend of his. I happen to know he's going through some very, very difficult times. Therefore, would somebody like to nominate Ms. Sam to take yet another month of program administration? Do I hear such a nomination? Nominate any seconds? For August, yes. Any dissenting votes? Therefore, we grace. Haas, Sam. Oh, the other Sam. Yes, not that Sam. That is July Sam there. Yeah. I should have said Ms. Sam. Yes. Okay, therefore you are blessed, Ms. Sam, with August. Any other items of business? Okay, we have just about half an hour for our extremely auspicious speaker, Mr. Frank Haas, Dean of Kapi'olani Community College and world traveler and specialist in tourism related to economic growth. I used to say that we had three economic legs in Hawaii: tourism, military, and Senator Inouye. Senator Inouye is no longer with us. Therefore, I'm part of Business and Economic Development Department. We must start looking for a whole bunch of other little mini legs to prop up the economy. We're going great guns right now. Everybody knows that those great guns are going to somehow shoot themselves in the foot at some point. Therefore, we need economic development ideas in any way, shape, or form that we can get them. Therefore, it gives me great pleasure to rise robustly from the right corner, Frank, the Bank Haas.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. It's not every day that you get to speak about a subject when it's in the page one of the papers. And I'm mostly going to talk about tourism today. I'm going to touch about diversifying the economy, although since tourism is in the news, it's mostly about tourism today. Thank you for the introduction. One thing I'd like to add, because of this group, is I am chairman of the Historic Hawaii Foundation. So I care about buildings, I care about aesthetics, I care about the way things work and the way things look. And in a real world, you you can have a functional economy and a functional industry like tourism and still be aesthetically pleasing. So I hope that's part of my message today. I want to talk about the road ahead for Hawaii. I love this picture of this road. This is actually a Hawaii road, and it's got lots of twists and turns on it. So it does represent our future, because our future will have lots of twists and turns. Tourism is all in the news, and a lot of people are talking about where things have been in 2012, where they might go in 2013. I want to look way beyond that. I want to look at where this economy can go and how tourism can play an important role in that. And near term, tourism really still is the big dog. And it's doing very, very well. I mean, coming out of a very deep recession, we're in remarkably good shape. Advertisers' headline, what a year. 7.9 million visitors. Actually, they were only 2,000 short of hitting 8 million, I think. And the visitor spending was $14.3 billion. That's the Hawaii Business cover story for the month. It's tourism, stupid. So everybody's, breaking their arms, patting themselves on the back. It's just such a wonderful industry, wonderful economic impact, but unless we look at it seriously and critically, we're not going to see that same impact in the next 10 or 20 years. We really have to now be thinking about how to structure the industry so that it remains sustainable and remains healthy. So I still worry. And maybe there are not a lot of people being worried today, with the headlines about 8 million visitors, but I'm worried because I see some issues within the tourism industry that I think we need to address. The problem when you are basking in beautiful headlines is you tend to say, aren't we wonderful, and you don't do the things you need to do. A lot of the good things that happen in tourism came out of crisis. It's been said, never let a good crisis go to waste. For those of you who remember the downturn in 1998-99, that's when we created Hawaii Tourism Authority. If you remember the 1980-81, that was the first year that we had a downturn in tourism, and that's when the state started to get serious about marketing and advertising this place. So it's easy in a crisis to say we need to change, we need to do something. When you got 8 million visitors and $14 billion in visitor spending, the tendency is to say, oh, aren't we great? Let's just keep on doing what we're doing. And of course, if you keep on doing what you're doing and the world is changing around you, you're going to be a dinosaur one day. So what I'd like to talk about today is the need for tourism to be flexible because things change. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how things changed during the recent recession. But then mostly I'm going to talk about forward thinking, how we need to be thinking about what the industry needs, what Hawaii needs to do to continue to attract high-impact economic visitors in the next 20, 25 years. In terms of being flexible, the industry changes all the time, and this is a picture of what happened between 2007, which was the year before the recession, and 2009. Of course, the big hit came in 2008 with Lehman Brothers and everything, and I don't think people truly understand how big the hit was. Between 2007 and 2009, we lost 1 million visitors. So when people say the visitor industry is fragile, that's how fragile it is. In a couple of years, you can lose 1 million visitors because of an external event like the economic crisis. We also lost $2.7 billion in visitor spending. Huge impact. Huge impact. And as a result, the industry was flexible, and I applaud them for that. They had a short-term problem, this economic crisis, and they had a short-term response. And what the way the industry describes that is, okay, we got to put butts in seats and heads in beds. I don't care who's coming. I just want a body with a pulse. Get them over here. So what did we do in 2008, 2009? Hawaii was on sale. We had lots of deals, we had lots of promotional events, lots of stuff going on, and that was necessary in that environment and in that time, but as we look to prosperity and as we look to a growing industry, I think we need to change. That's another aspect of flexibility. You need to be able to respond to a crisis, but then you need to work really hard to lay the foundation for a strong and continuous economic future. So here's where we are. I actually did this chart before the news came out yesterday, so I was pretty darn close. I think it's 7,998 something million visitors, so really close. But you can see how big the dip was there during the recession. So my nickname has always been Dr. Doom. I've worked in a lot of different industries. I got this name when I was working at Hawaii Pizza Hut. Hawaii Pizza used to have a huge share of market. We owned about 75% share of the pizza market. We were making really good money. We never, believe it or not, we never ran coupons. We didn't need to. And we were all breaking arms, patting ourselves on the back, except for me. And I would go to these meetings and say, you know what? There's competition coming. There's people like Papa John's on the mainland, Little Caesars. Pizza is a food that's high calorie, and people are becoming more health conscious. So even though we were doing really, really well, I was going to these meetings saying, hey, wait a second, we need to be thinking about changing. I'm trying to do the same thing now with tourism. Even though we're doing really, really well, I'm thinking about what we need to do to continue to be attractive and continue to attract the right kind of visitors. What we have is what I call the curse of a strong brand. What is the curse of a strong brand? You can go around the world, and I do travel a lot, and you can go anywhere and ask people if they've heard of Hawaii. Yes, it's the islands, it's beautiful, wonderful weather. So that's what we're known for. And when you've got a very, very strong brand image like that, it's difficult to change. It takes a lot of effort to change a strong brand image. So if we want to become a place that's known for something more than sun, sand, and surf, it's going to take a lot of effort. The problem with sun, sand, surf, and that's what we're known for, is sun, sand, surf is not unique to Hawaii. When you talk to people, especially very frequent travelers, and you talk about where they can go, there's the Caribbean, there's Guam for the Japanese, emerging resorts in Mexico once they get over their drug problems. There's the Mauritius. There's all these places you can go. And Hawaii is nice, but it is not unique. And so what we need to do is invest the time, energy, and resources to create other reasons for coming to Hawaii, because there's more and more and more competition in the world. But it won't be easy, and that is the curse of a strong brand. Another way of putting this is, what got us here won't get you there. The stuff that made us successful in the past is not what we need to be successful in the future. Put another way, our past success is our worst enemy. We are an industry that's dominated by managers that created the Hawaii tourism economy the way it is. Those are not necessarily the skill sets and the activities that we need to be successful in the future, but it's really hard to change. If you're one of those people that has made Hawaii successful, what do you want to do? You want to keep on doing the things that you did before, but the world around us is changing. People like Roy Kelly, how many people knew Roy? He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant for his time. He did the right thing for Hawaii for the time. He created a volume tourism destination. But he did it by mass marketing. And what I'm going to tell you is that model worked in the 1950s, 1960s, and the times have changed. The times have changed, and we need to think differently. So the people that built Hawaii on that model need to think about it differently. Another way of putting that, I love little aphorisms, you can't win at chess if you're playing checkers. If you're a chess player, you know that chess players think 2 or 3 or 4 moves down the road. They're thinking strategy. Checkers players are just moving the little things around. We need to be playing chess. We need to be thinking of what the destination needs to do to attract the visitor of 2025. You were talking about Singapore. I've done projects in Singapore. They hired me as a consultant to come down there, and this was about 10 years ago, to talk about what Singapore needed to be doing to promote its tourism industry for the year 2025. So there are other competitors out there that are thinking in those long-term views, and we need to be thinking the same way. So within that 8 million visitors, within that $14 billion of visitor spending, if you dig into it, there are some problems, and that's what we need to be addressing. So I see some alarm bells in the numbers. One of them is percentage of first-time visitors. Overall, that brown line is the percentage of first-time visitors for the state, and it's down to 34.1%. And when you look at our very best market, the west coast of the United States, only 20% of our visitors are first-time visitors. Why does that matter? Well, for one thing, first-time visitors behave differently than repeat visitors. They stay in hotels, they take tours, they get on the tour bus, whereas repeat visitors don't do that so much. They may stay in a condo, they may not go to restaurants so much. They'll go to ABC stores, or they'll go to Safeway and buy stuff and take it back to their condo. So the economic impact of a first-time visitor is very different than the impact of a repeat visitor. So if you're Roberts, or if you're a Polynesian Cultural Center, or if you're a tour company, you want to make sure that we have a healthy number of first-time visitors. The other thing about first-time visitors is if they like Hawaii, they become repeat visitors. So we need to keep getting first-time visitors. So that's one alarm bell. Another alarm bell is the reliance that we have upon our existing strong markets, primarily the west coast of the United States, but generally the U.S. And if you look at the percentage of our visitors that come from an international destination other than Japan and Canada, that was as low as 4.5%. Why do you want to diversify your markets? Because if you have a problem in one market, you don't want all your eggs in that basket. So we learned from Japan with the Fukushima earthquake the impact of an event like that. So we want to diversify our markets. We want more visitors from Taiwan, China, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. So that's not a healthy number in my estimation. That should be more around 15%. At one point we were at 12.7%. What that tells me is we need to do some marketing and make some effort to change this. Another trend that I see as an alarm bell is Japan arrivals. At one point there were over 2 million Japanese that came here. It got down to, last year was 1.2 million. Why is that an alarm? Why do I care? Because there's a lot of business here. There's a lot of economic activity here, especially in the retail field that's geared at the Japanese. If that market evaporates, those businesses are going to close. Percentage of visitors that golf is down to about 11%. That's just the U.S. market. I don't have the numbers for the other markets. Why do I care? Well, there are 80 golf courses in the United States, and they're a large economic contributor to this economy. I always say I used to have a partner when I ran an advertising agency, and I had to sign his expense reports, and he was a golfer, so I know what golfers spend. It's not just the golf, it's the martinis afterward, and it's the entertainment. So these are high-value visitors. Why is that going down? Well, the airlines have started to charge for baggage, and golf is not as popular, and we're not promoting golf. There are 80 golf courses in Hawaii, and so that's an important economic driver. Business travel as a percent of total is down to about 2%. Ooh. So we built this beautiful convention center. That's a problem we have to address, and it's a tough problem. So where is growth going to come from in tourism? Can it come from capacity? Can we have 8 million visitors now? Can we get to 9 million? I don't know. I kind of doubt it. At least not in the conventional way, because there are very few prime sites left. So you guys are engineers and architects. Where are you going to build new hotels? There are not a lot of sites. What you're going to do as architects and engineers is remodel, rebuild, renovate existing properties. The other issue is in building new hotels is increasing density can backfire. What people come to Hawaii for is this feeling of being in paradise, and what we did in Waikiki was probably overbuild, and we're fixing that a little bit with some of the redevelopment that's going on down there. And we're seeing community resistance in places like Turtle Bay. Another way to grow is by spending. Paul Brubaker, I don't know if he's spoken to you, he always criticizes me because I promote visitor spending as a way to grow the economy. He says, well, we tried that. I would say we haven't tried very hard or very successfully, but there are ways you can find visitors who spend more money and concentrate your marketing efforts on those. And then you can even out the valleys. We have seasonality. And if you can find a way to bring more people in April and in September, you're going to have more visitors without having to build more visitor plant. When I say bringing in more visitors who spend more money, we know who they are. Here are some of them. Bridal honeymoon. Do brides spend money? I love brides if I'm in tourism business. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event, maybe. But they spend money on a honeymoon. They fly first class. They get oceanfront rooms. They get limos. They get flowers. They are not on the cheap because it's a honeymoon, for goodness sakes. So I'm concerned that we don't have more honeymooners, and we don't have a lot of marketing programs aimed at honeymooners. The business market. We love business travelers. Why? They're on an expense account. So they're going to Alan Wong's, they're going to Chef Mavro, they're renting rooms, they're renting equipment. Golf. I know the golfers spend more money. Chinese now spend more money per person per day than the Japanese. So if we want to build economic impact without increasing our volume much beyond 8 million, we need to start thinking about who those visitors are that spend more and go after them. The challenge for all of us is to design products and services that appeal to them. So a lot of the redevelopment in Waikiki was really aimed at that. Taking some of those old hotels that Roy Kelly built, like Beach Walk, revamping them, remodeling them, turning an old hotel into an Embassy Suites. That's the activity that we need to be doing. Another thing that tourism can do in terms of economic benefit is to export tourism services. Now, I'll just talk briefly about this because this is something that Kapi'olani Community College is doing. Hawaii is known around the world as being an expert in tourism development and tourism marketing. We get calls from all over the place, and we are now doing deals. I'm signing a contract next month with the government of Sri Lanka to develop curriculum for their hospitality school. We're doing a project in Morocco. And if any of you are interested in a Moroccan project, please see me afterwards. So they came to us because they're building a 5,000-room resort in this undeveloped area called Dakhla, and they're looking for us to help them design it and develop it. So that's one way of bringing tourism dollars into the economy without necessarily bringing more tourists in. Some of the issues that we have: market concentration, too many visitors coming from a few markets, the number of first-time visitors, airlines. We have to worry about airlines. A lot of the success that we've had in the last few years has been from increased airline seats. We don't have somebody at the Hawaii Tourism Authority whose job is airlines. And for a while, the airports division did. I don't think they do now. But if air is the only way to get here, pretty much, we ought to be investing in that. We have an aging infrastructure. The average age for a hotel in Waikiki is 30 years old. And we're competing with very, very nice hotels around the rest of the world. I was talking to a wholesaler in Mexico. I said, if you had to sum up my problems in Hawaii, how would you describe the problem I'm facing? This is when I was working at the Hawaii Tourism Authority. He said, you know what? You've got 4-star hotels at 5-star prices, and Mexico has 5-star hotels at 4-star prices. So you have to find some other reason for people to come here. You need to spiff up your product, but then you need to give them activities, attractions, culture, tours that make them want to come to Hawaii. The example I always use, if I want to go to Paris, I can't substitute London, because Paris is Paris. So if I want to go to Hawaii, there has to be something here that's uniquely Hawaii. And that can't be sun, sand, surf. Because if I want sun, sand, surf, I can go to a very nice resort in Mexico and spend a fraction of what I spend here. That's why we need things like cultural tourism. That's why we need heritage areas. That's why we need to celebrate our architecture. That's why we need to celebrate our culture. What about diversifying the economy? That's tough. I've been here for many, many, many years, and everybody's talked about this, and nobody's really figured it out. There are a few things we can do with agriculture. There are a few things we can do with some other industries, but we've tried some things that really, in my estimation, didn't make sense, like IT. I spent a couple of years in high tech, but my company went out of business. And I think if you're going to diversify the economy, you start by diversifying tourism. There's a lot that we haven't done yet in tourism, and some of that I've already mentioned: the bridal market, the golf market, the culture market. All those things are ways to diversify tourism and make it strong. Another way to diversify is to reinvent ag and to leverage Hawaii's tourism brand. I said Hawaii's known around the world. One of the things I did when I was at the Hawaii Tourism Authority, I was trying to the Department of Agriculture, and they were trying to brand Hawaiian-grown produce. They said they were going to develop their own logo. I said, why don't you use our logo? And they said, you'd let us do that? I'd say, well, why wouldn't I? We spent a whole lot of money to promote this image of Hawaii. Let's put it on pineapples, and let's put it on macadamia nuts. Let's put it on Kona coffee and take advantage of this wonderful image that Hawaii has. So some of the crops, protea, lavender, chocolate, all kinds of things can be wrapped up in this brand that we've already developed for tourism. I'm sorry you can't see this very well, but this is what happens when you are successful in marketing an agricultural product and tying it to some prestige. This is the coffee menu from Alan Wong's. And what Alan does at the end of the meal, you get a coffee menu, and it's like a wine menu. It's not just coffee, and it's not just Kona coffee. It's Holualoa 2011, And what he's able to do because of that is sell coffee for $7, $8. Okay, that's the trick. The trick is finding high-value ag that builds upon our reputation and our brand and gets a premium price, because we're not going to be in the sugar business. We're not in the pineapple business. What we need to do is find things like lavender, vanilla, coffee, cocoa, those things that we can brand with the Hawaiian name and sell at a premium price. So what does that mean? It means we have to change the way we plan. We're no longer worried about one size fits all. Early days of tourism, we just did mass marketing. We were on network television. Just come on to Hawaii. It's a beautiful place. Now we have to start talking about these individual high-spending visitors. It's possible now because of the fragmentation of media and markets. Years ago, all you had was network television, so you had to talk to everybody. There's a wonderful book called The Long Tail, and it talks about the fragmentation of media and markets. But because of the internet, now we can talk very specifically about foodies. So if you're a foodie like my wife is, you talk about coming to Hawaii for Hawaii regional cuisine. You have recipes. You have stories about the restaurants and the chefs. If you're talking about cultural travelers, you tie into the National Geographic website and you talk about the historic buildings. Not everybody cares about historic buildings, but the readers of that website do. And so because we're able to reach them now, we can do marketing things that we never could in the past. Another way of saying that is another book, Small is the New Big. We need to stop thinking about mass markets and thinking about an array of small markets. An example of that, when I was doing the marketing for Hawaii Tourism Authority, I was in Tokyo, and somebody said, well, do you want to go to see this quilt show? Quilt show in Tokyo? Who cares about quilts in Tokyo? Well, I went to this show, and there were 30,000 people that showed up to see the quilts. Now, if you know a quilter, these people are cult people. They love quilts. They love talking about quilts. They quilt all day. They buy all the stuff. They buy magazines. And these are the people that showed up. Now, you know what? We have quilts in Hawaii. We have at Bishop Museum, at mission houses. So for this very specific audience, we can probably find websites that talk about quilts and talk about the unique things. And a bunch of them, because they do care about quilts and they want to see unique and rare quilts, they would probably come here. Some things that are going to happen, we know that the fragmentation of media is happening, so we need to get over this idea of mass markets and mass television. We know the price of fuel is going up. We can't keep wishing oil would be under $100 a barrel. It's going to be higher. That's another reason for going after these higher spending visitors, because we can't do what Tradewind Tours did in the old days and sell $199 5-night packages. Just isn't going to happen. Aircraft technology has changed. Once the 787 gets back online and the Airbus 380, these are long-range aircraft, and we can look at markets we've never looked at before. So we need to be thinking now about where these aircraft go. And that's what Singapore did. When they hired me to do that 2025 plan, one of the things we did is we looked at where these new aircraft were being purchased and deployed throughout the region. We said that's where the seats are going to be. Bioscience is something that we can look at for diversifying the economy. We need to look at emerging economies like India. I saw a comment that 500 billion people are going to be classified as middle class in India in the next 10 years. And sophistication. Travel is not like it was in the day of Roy Kelly. Visitors are on their own. They're looking for unique experiences. And in fact, the phrase is experience is the new luxury. That's why the Aulani Disney Resort was built as an experience as much as a hotel. The characters, the activities, the rides, the activities that you do, spas. That's why we have spas. This is Flumina Ditch on the Big Island. That's what the new visitor wants to do. And it's certainly cuisine, and that's what we're doing at Kapi'olani Community Colleges. Please come to our culinary restaurant. So how do we think outside the box? If golf is a problem because airlines are charging for baggage, maybe we have a reverse combiner program where if you show an out-of-state driver's license, you get free golf club rentals. Maybe because people are not coming here for business exhibitions, we buy existing exhibits at the convention center and just give them away rather than discounting. We need to look at sustainable ag and culinary as a part of tourism. We need to micro-target, and we need to develop new and better and sexier products, and that includes refurbishing and revamping our hotels. And aesthetics matter. I want to leave this with you. There's a wonderful book by Stanley Plogue talking about, there's a chapter in there, it says, why destinations decline and fall and nobody ever does anything about it. And it's because we don't pay attention to the visitor experience. we have Hawaii regional cuisine. I think we should have Hawaii regional design. And there's some good examples of that. I think the convention center is a wonderful example of incorporating a Hawaiian sense of place into a building. What happens when you don't do that? That's Branson, Missouri. And it's very easy to become a Branson, Missouri. And Waikiki was in danger of becoming that. And we've hopefully pulled it out of the fire, but that's what Branson, Missouri looks like. This is Preserving Culture, Heritage, and Significant Sites. I'm chairman of the Historic Hawaii. That's the Dillium Transportation Building. That's the Dillium Transportation Building with... but it can be done aesthetically pleasing. This is a brand new light rail system in Rabat, Morocco. Gaming. I'm not pro or con gaming, but if you're going to consider gaming, consider how it fits in with the brand. And if you do gaming, you need to make sure that the aesthetics don't fight this idea of aloha and relaxation. So things will happen. We need to keep the fundamentals strong. We need to think about the future now, because if we're not doing it now, we're going to have a problem. If you want to follow my rants and raves, that's my website. I got you at 5 minutes.
Oh, that's a bit slow.
Well, sorry. I was relying on that.
At one time, the sugar industry in Hawaii had the most advanced technology in that particular field, and they really exported that knowledge to other countries. And the result was, of course, to be overtaken by that competition. Considering that you are investing a lot of your time in providing consulting services to places like Singapore, which is a competitor to Hawaii, do you detect a negative impact on the tourist industry of Hawaii because of the advice you're giving to these other places, similar to the sugar industry?
That's a very good question. We have considered it. I think the saving grace is that tourism growth is going to be very, very rapid for a long time because of the increasing disposable income and economic resources in these other countries. They're going to grow much faster. We're still going to be, in my opinion, about 8 million visitors 5, 10, 15 years from now. So we have a different issue. We're attracting the right visitors, and the market is going to grow. The World Tourism Organization says the market's going to grow like 5-6%. They're looking at a compound for a long time because of that growing economic resource.
Very, very brief.
Okay. We're spending $5.2 billion on this rail system. You showed what they've got there. There's no forum to go in there and actually talk to them about it. I think they approach you, talk about what we can do with that. I mean, all I think of is like, why can't we have one carriage for tourists that's basically open air like all these buses that go through Waikiki? I mean, we're not allowed to participate in the process. That's the problem. That's an architect. I am really offended by the way it's being shut down.
I happen to agree with you. I'm not speaking for the Caldwell administration or the Hanneman administration, but they will say we've had public forums. Now, there's a difference, but you need to start by, what they didn't do is to start with one of the parameters being this needs to fit Hawaii. I have no qualms with transit. I think transit is needed if you live on that side of the island. But can you design a system, or should you require any system that you design to be compatible with the place? That was the question that wasn't asked.
Okay. Have you been consulted about that? That was the last question.
No.
We are about to do a double Haas moment. And not only is your voice, whoa, Mr. Haas, being recorded for posterity, but you will be visually recorded for posterity. Haas, give you, and turn it around for the nice camera, and smile for the nice camera. Okay, and Mr. Haas, one reason that Engineers and Architects of Hawaii has lasted for 105 years is that we end promptly at 1 o'clock. I am sure that Mr. Haas will be glad to speak informally after our formal adjournment.